Live. Da 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 da. Welcome back to another episode of Medicine Caller Facebook Live. This is Emerald, my darling Emerald, which if you were listening to Vagina Talks back in the day, OG, still people love that episode. I believe it was episode 4 of Vagina Talks. Emerald came and dropped some deep, intimate, world-changing number of people have called me up about that episode and just been like, yo, that woman. I'm like, I know. So it brought this visionary powerhouse back to the show in these wild, magnificent times. And we're doing the thing that we do here with our reloading of pages. And just 1 second here. There
Hopefully
it
that's
is.
working. Is it working?
Share. Let's see. Posted. Okay. All right.
I think it's functioning.
Okay. Here we go.
All
right. So here we go. It's like we don't have it, but on the show, right? The theme song is, you already know everything we could teach you. You already know everything we could say. We are here to remind you what you already know. Exactly. Hi, darlings. Welcome back to Medicine Caller Podcast. They call me Sophia Wiseman. I'm your host. Darlings, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, experiencing life. Journeying has come to me many times. It came to me early in the spring season. I was traveling out in the woods, and the trees and the spiders and the birds, they kept giving me the same message. They said, it will appear, you will be tempted to think it's about death. It is about life. Death is always about life. Do not be mistaken. Change your script, change your perspective on what you think it is. Change your ideas of what death is and what life is, because true living is what is about and what is happening right now. We have an incredible guest with us today, just a complete treat, who's back with us again, founder and lead visionary of Creative Age Consulting Group. The wealthy life mentor, Emerald Greenforest, is an internationally known speaker, transformation artist, Be the Change Movement to Watch award winner, and one of America's premier experts. She's an executive producer and hostess of 2 podcasts, the Apple Top 50 ranked Men on Purpose podcast and the Apple Top 75 ranked Wickedly Smart Women podcast. And she is hired to consult with high achieving leaders who are called to be the vanguard of the creative age. Rawr. Rawr. Hi, Emerald. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Sophia. What a pleasure. What a delight. What an honor. What an excitement to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So just like feeling that, I just, as we connected just before we kind of went live right now on together, just kind of connecting, just feeling that you have, my experience of you right now is you have such a deep pulse for the creative age that we are in the midst of right now. There's something about your being right now that is so at home in these changing tides. And so I just want to just kind of say that, honor you for that, thank you for that, see you in that way, and invite that voice, that knowing to come forward. Like, I hear you, I see you. What do you know from that seat of home that you...
Yeah, thank you. Well, what I know from this seat of home is that this place that we are in right now, this moment that we are in right now, literally I have been initiated repeatedly up until now to be awake, to be alive, to be active, to be abundantly sharing and connecting and expressing and to be actively activating the latent codes of light, the latent seeds of light that are in the collective that have been up until now in dormancy, and which are now in the process of not only being activated but invited to begin to emerge, begin to take root, begin to flourish as we literally are in the rite of passage from the old industrial / information age and into what I call the creative age, which I believe is a 10,000 year cycle that we're initiating right now. Yeah, thank you.
Boom! Great! That was a great show. I think we've covered it. Whoosh! Yes. Yes. I mean, yes is how I feel about that. I'm just going to be with that and integrate with that for a moment of just being, I feel my feet. I feel them solid on the earth. I feel my heart. It's lifted. I feel this. This is exactly what you're talking about. I feel the cord that's completely intact. The activation of these latent codes. You have been doing gorgeous code work in your paintings that I've seen. I've been seeing, you've shared with me, and I've seen just gorgeous to me. They are broadcasting. They are broadcasting the codes. And so I think that's I'm like, let's go there. Those latent codes of light. Tell me more about the codes.
Yeah. Well, so I want to backtrack from the codes that are coming through right now and just say that my journey in the last 20 years has been to be an activator and a dispenser of codes. And I have been doing that mostly through the sound of my voice. I have primarily been utilizing the sound of my voice with intention, with the full knowing and awareness that every time I speak, every time I express myself verbally, every time I make any kind of sound, that it is an activator, that the listener is receiving a subtle energy field activation. And I feel that I had my awakening in 2001, and there have been subsequent waves of awakening cohorts ever since 2001. So in 2006, I felt that the masculine awakening was getting activated. And in recent time, I felt that the unification of masculine and feminine was being activated. And it's only been in the last 3 months, since December, since the winter solstice of 2019, that these flow codes have started to arise. And one of the other pieces that for me has been part of my personal journey but feels relevant on a collective level is for 13 years I held the name Amethyst Wildfire. And for 13 years I literally burned. I burned and burned and burned and burned and burned for 13 years. And then went through a massive rite of passage with my son, which was a deathing and rebirthing for both of us, and coming out of that received within 3 days the name Emerald, and then the next day Greenforest, and then the third day Peaceful, and went immediately and changed my name at the courts for the second time. So as Emerald Peaceful Greenforest came online, there was also an elemental shift from the fire into the flow, into the water energy. And if you think about a wildfire going through the forest, a wildfire's intense heat and light is required to activate and germinate some seeds that will sit literally on the forest floor for 100 or 150 years ungerminated until the intense heat and light of the wildfire comes through. And then post the fire, there is a very organic but also measured, slow, nurturing regrowth of of that which is meant to emerge and be born out of the ravages of the fire. And so I feel like I've been one who has been kind of out front pioneering the cycle, out front pioneering the touch points of how this flows. And now the flow codes have started to come in. And so I've in the last 3 years been very intimately connecting with water, bodies of water, brooks and rivers. And I am now living in a place where there's a brook right behind me. And I'm in the medicine of working with water, but we're also at the dawning of the Aquarian age. And the Aquarian age is represented by the water bearer. And the feminine female body actually has the capacity to pour forth sacred waters in the form of female ejaculate. So all of these watery pieces are in the mix of our creation right now. And starting in December, these flow codes started to come through. They came through as little as originally. They were just, I had these little canvases, these tiny little canvases, and I started playing with them. And then the tiny little canvases wanted to be put together with each other and then mounted on a bigger canvas. And then I did about 13 of those, and they were the prototypes. And then the big ones wanted to come through. And the big ones that wanted to come through are not prototypes. They are actually energetic transmissions that flow through me for specific activation, visual activation that is beyond words. It is beyond words. However, each of the flow codes does have some words that are associated with it that point to the energy. So the first one was fox medicine. And the message of fox medicine is being able to be kind of seen and unseen at the same time. Seen and unseen at the same time. And camouflage and being able to look out for the family. And it feels like in the time that we're doing this recording right now, which is, we're in a required stay at home, that feels very fox medicine-y to me. Like, and when we go out, we're kind of masking ourselves. And so that was the first flow code. And then the next one was because the world needs more beauty. And so each of these flow codes have been coming through, and the big pieces I'm stewarding right now, but I also know that they are meant to be in other places and spaces exactly on time. And I'm also called to offer them in a more accessible form in a variety of ways, like coffee cups and journals and shower curtains. So so that's the story of the flow codes, where the work of the flow codes is, my work is to just deliver them onto the canvas and to make them visible out in the world. And their work is to support all of those beings who are activated and awakened in flowing with the movement that is afoot right now in this direction of the dying off of, the dismantling of, the deconstruction of all of the systems and fields of expertise and industries and institutions that simply don't serve anymore. And it's literally, they're the gushing birth waters for where we are headed and where we are intended and divinely designed to be, which is in the role of sovereign creator of our own reality.
In the role of sovereign creator of our own reality. Yes. Yes. What are you doing these days to integrate the like waves of, right, the continued, a friend of mine said the other day, in the midst of like, everyone is being awakened to another level. And he said to me, even the Dalai Lama's waking up right now, right? Nicholas, was so comforting. It's like, as visionaries, it's like even for me, even my visionary sight 6 months ago is being asked to just blow right fucking past those notions that were so edgy, right? Those were so, at the threshold. And now it's like, yes. And what's wild is they're still at the threshold, and yet being compelled to receive, to integrate, to move, kind of even more that's happening. So, right, you're giving that full being nod. So, what's that like for you, sister? Yeah.
Well, again, I literally feel like I was built for now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my fucking word, we finally got here. We finally got here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, we finally fucking got here, right?
Yeah.
And so how am I navigating? So the first thing I want to say is, about 18 months ago, I got very clear it was time to rebuild my physical body. And I have been very intentional and very well supported by, it was a 2-stage process. The first stage was with one person, and then it became clear I was complete with that person. And then the next stage was with another 2 people who are at the whole next level. And I am, surrendering to engaging in all kinds of supplementation and activities that prior to now were not on the radar. And certainly one of them was like, are you fucking kidding me? We're going to do that. And so I've surrendered to that, and now it's a practice. And so I will share that one practice alone has been instrumental in helping me to maintain a really, I will say that, yes, I've been on the waves, okay? But I've been on top of the waves. I've been flowing with the waves rather than cresting with the wave and then getting my face planted into the sand, right?
Cool.
And
Cool.
The coffee enema has been very helpful with that. The coffee enema has been very helpful with that.
That's some legit old school medicine right there, coffee enema. Yeah. That's some real...
Doing some serious old school medicine with that. And so that's one thing, has been just really being willing to go way outside my original box on healthcare, thinking, and also way outside my original thinking of, oh, I'm really pretty healthy. I eat pretty clean. I'm, all the things that I thought gave me a leg up over the average Joe, let's put it that way, who's, still eating at Burger King and, crunching down Cheetos and beer on the weekend. I mean, that wasn't my lifestyle. And this is like a whole other level. And with the intent that I literally have been rebuilding my physical body from the ground up, the cellular level up. Yeah. So that's one thing that has been helpful. The second thing that has been helpful has been, I'm in strategic alliances with medicine sisters and brothers all across the world. And I have regular medicine dates where we do the work, and it's a mutual exchange with one another, and we have regularly scheduled and also outreach if in between the regularly scheduled one or the other of us is in some space where additional support is required. So asking for fucking help, which for me is like one of those old parts of my genetic and cultural persona that was resistant as fuck to ask for help for the longest time. And even as I grew in that muscle, still rears its little interesting head and says, you can take care of this yourself. You should be able to take care of this yourself. So, just exercising that asking for help muscle even more particularly when I see amazing results, like with the healthcare people, I'm like, holy shit, amazing results, right? Amazing, amazing results. I got my brain back, got my clarity of capacity to perform when it's in alignment for me to perform back. Whereas I had gone into this place of boom, an inspiration comes, yeah, I get it started, and then I fog out, right? So this healthcare protocol has just, now the fog out is just not happening anymore. Although as we up certain things in the supplementation process, we do go through a detox process where I do have a little fog out for a bit as we're detoxing, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, the third thing that I have been doing is, certainly time in nature is like, that's a no-brainer. As much time in nature as possible. Where I live is a beautiful space. There's conservation land on both sides of my home where I'm living right now. I literally am enveloped by the pine trees. I'm held. I can feel myself almost cradled by the pine trees, and served and supported by the pine trees that are right here with me, in the salmon brook that's behind. So time in nature, of course, is essential. And then the final thing that I will say is really trusting myself even more fully to act on impulses that in the old collective framework would appear to be shameful, or would appear to be against the rules, or would appear to be, radical, or would appear to be illogical, or to be kind of, what are you, fucking crazy that you're doing that? And just being just like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So, as an example.
Yeah, please.
I just got inspired a few weeks ago when this whole thing started to just, begin to amplify. The coronavirus began to amplify. I have been in a conundrum internally in my relationship with money, and more specifically in my relationship with credit. As a business owner, I've carried credit for a very long time. I've always maintained the credit score, you know what I mean? Like, by following the old rules, and it has served me so beautifully, and I'm so grateful for it. But right around before the flow code started coming through in November, I got the invitation by Lobster Medicine. I went into a journey, and a lobster came along and showed me to cut up all my cards, right, with his little claw. He's like showed me cut up all my cards. The cards got cut up and became two paintings. One of them is Love and Liberation, and I can't off the top of my head remember the name of the other one, but all the cards got cut up, and then they got replaced. Some of them got replaced, not all of them got replaced. And then when this corona thing came, all of a sudden the guidance was pull down all the credit in cash into your bank accounts that you possibly are able to access right now, because that cash is much more, readily usable than some fantasy you have a line available of credit that might be shut off tomorrow or the next day. So I began to, even though there was a part of me that was like, come on, we're in the process of paying all this down.
Right.
We're in the process of making sure the credit score stays good, and like all of that shit, right?
Yeah.
I got really clear. I am not my fucking credit score.
Amen. Say it again. Repeat. Repeat after. I am not my fucking credit score. Everybody, I am not my fucking credit. One more time. I am not my fucking credit score. Thank you.
And the instability that is being created, and the deconstruction and dismantling and dissolution that's being created right now.
Yeah.
The work is to follow each of our own internal individual guidance. And so if for you, that means keeping my credit score at 800 is going to be a really fucking valuable thing.
Yep.
Which 2 or 3 years ago, for me, that was the guidance. Keeping your credit score at close to 800 is going to be a really fucking valuable thing. Well, now it's turned out to be a really fucking valuable thing.
Yeah.
So back then, that was appropriate guidance. If that's your guidance now, great. If it's your guidance now to apply for an SBA emergency funding loan, great. If it's your guidance right now to go take a bunch of cash out of the bank account and have actual envelopes of cash in your house, great. If money isn't even on your fucking radar screen and you're supposed to be painting flow codes, great. Just be present with what you are being called to do and fucking do it, because it's being present to that and doing it that will keep us untethered from that which is in disintegration.
Yes, being in alignment, acting in alignment is what will keep us untethered from that which is, oh, you said it so beautifully.
In disintegration.
In disintegration, yes.
So I got visuals. I got two visuals. One visual is, imagine you're having a fucking baby, okay? The baby is tethered to the placenta. The placenta is tethered to the uterus, okay? The baby's coming out. The baby's fucking coming out. As the baby comes out, the placenta is supposed to detach from the uterus. It's part of the fucking process. If the placenta stays attached to the uterus, we've got a big problem. We've got a huge problem. And so we as a collective are in the coronation. We're crowning. Corona is crowned. We are coming through the birth canal. Let the fucking cord to the placenta and the placenta attachment to the uterus go. Otherwise, you're in fucking trouble. So the other thing that came through for me a couple weeks ago, as everything started to hit the second week of March at the New Media Summit, which was where you and I met originally. Yeah. As all of that was starting to go down, halfway through that week, I got into a journey with the person who was sharing the room with me, and I got very clear guidance to unzip my central nervous system, my endocrine system, and my mental body from the existing money matrix as it presently sits. Now, this was 2 weeks ago, to just unzip all attachments, detach, clear cords, release, melt away any attachments that my endocrine system had, my emotional body had, and my mental body had to the money matrix as it was sitting 2 weeks ago. Big. So I would invite that for anyone for whom that resonates as well. Because what will emerge, what is in the process of emerging, like the chick coming out of the egg has no idea that it's going to have wings and be able to fly. It has no idea that there's going to be sunshine and pine trees and, earth under its feet. The chick, we've been in this egg of a paternal system for thousands of years, and the egg shell's cracking open, and we get our wings out of this. We literally get our wings and our capacity to create and fly and do and be and manifest whatever we desire. Yeah.
Yes. I have a practitioner, friend, colleague who uses the term the quantum financial system. Yes, the QFS, the quantum financial system. And that has been coming in a lot for me. So I love your unzipping because and it was similar for me, maybe a year, it was just about a year ago now that I had this massive healing that resulted in an unzipping of, I was like, I can't, and stepped out of it. And I've been in this and it's drafty, like really in this kind of bizarre miracle landscape for sure. And recently, like was again, like having this money, like this, like, okay, but like, now what, right? Like, okay, and the answer in my practice has just been like, just tap into that quantum financial system. Like that's as much as an answer as I've gotten so far, right? It's like knowing that more will be revealed. I was like, what does that look like in the manifested realm? Even like the 5D manifested realm, like what does that look like? And it's like, don't worry about that. Just plug into that. So just like plug into that. So I just really appreciate the like unzipping from one and the invitation to like kind of connect and commune and root, become, one of the places that I was thinking about this today in my practice of like, I offered, my prayer was like, let me be the birthplace of the new paradigm. Like, let it be, like, let it like anchor and birth and like be here and be shared. And it always makes me like lean on something when I say that. Like, why do I knew what I was doing.
That's
like,
you want to reframe that.
Shit, Christ, my God, Jesus, Lord, choices. So I had asked for that, and I've been mostly just kind of integrating and digesting from kind of what that prayer as it has come to be, but loosening my grip on it. And I've made a lot of clarifications about kind of what I'm willing and here for in this process. But I, again, like today, that notion of just being like, okay, so when I'm kind of connected to that and being like, okay, here we are, like I'm not just alone in it, like here I am in the birthplace of this new paradigm, we're in the birth waters, like you said, that invitation of just connect, like invite it to be revealed, like to be revealed inside and to be revealed in reflection back at, like opening. So I've been, one of the things, I think you dig this, one of the things that's been coming up for me recently is I was laying in bed and I had this image of, Quantum Leap, the show Quantum Leap. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's a show where a guy jumps between different realities, and there's this portal that opens, this like whoosh, and then he has to like jump through the portal, So I'm laying in bed, and my guidance came to me and said, if you had a fucking Quantum Leap portal open at the foot of your bed right now, would you jump? Would you jump, Sophia? Because you talking smack like you jump. Like you jump? You ready to fucking jump through that hole? Bitch! Like it was like really, I mean, it was gentler in that way, but it was like, that's like really, like it was really like, I'm just curious, would you actually jump through? But like, I know what it was saying. It was like, what are you happening, really? And I decided kind of in that moment, I came to this clarity of like, okay, every chance I get, the layers that are between me and saying yes to that like quantum leap split walk through, any layer that is between me and saying yes to that, as it reveals, as every portal opens, every birth canal, every invitation, every kind of timeline jump, every time that shift, every wave, right? Like every wave that comes through, just let one layer dissolve. Let one layer dissolve. So this, a very compassionate answer came in that was not like, you gonna jump through it? It was like, okay. And I had a very deep kind of healing move through my being. And then I did, like, there was a portal, and obviously I did say yes. And then 10 minutes later, there was this thunder crack that was huge. It was huge. And I was like, okay, this stuff is so real. So real.
It's really real, girl.
It's really, really real. It's really real.
Really real.
Yeah.
Well, I have some things out of all of that.
Please, go.
So I think the first thing I want to talk about is the quantum financial system versus the linear financial system. Okay. Right? So in the linear financial system, you work so many hours, or you create something and you get an exchange. Like here comes the money. You did what you said you were going to do. Whether it's like, I created a painting and you want a painting, so here's the painting and here's the money. Or I'm going to give you 5 hours of my time and you're going to do this, I'm going to do this thing for you and you're going to give me money. It's like all very linear, right?
Yeah.
In the quantum financial system, we've actually been in a practice in a variety of other areas of our life that we may not have actually acknowledged for ourselves. We have collectively been practicing manifestation for at least 20 years, maybe longer. Some people have been doing it longer, where, let's manifest a parking space, or let's manifest XYZ, whatever it is. And we have all collectively, like you and I, when we met each other, it was like, oh, here you are. Here you are. It's like an out of the blue. So for me, quantum financial system is just the same thing, except with the financial system, where it literally is an out of the blue thing. So as an example, I was at the New Media Summit a couple of weeks ago. You mentioned I have 2 podcasts, Men on Purpose and Wickedly Smart Women. I'm in there at this mastermind that happened on day 4 with a bunch of other people. We're all sharing our shit stories and asking for help from one another, exercising the asking for help muscles. And let me be clear, I have shit stories, okay? And if we need to talk about those, we can. But let me be clear, we all have shit stories. So this guy mentioned, and he's expressing that he was having a difficult time, and he knows he's supposed to be doing something and he can't really get the words together, and he wants to do a podcast, and here's some words, and his words were really not good words. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm like, gee, I wonder if he would buy the Men on Purpose podcast. And so in that instant where I got that out of the blue quantum field solution to some immediate cash flow challenge that I had thrown on the table, right? I threw this immediate cash flow challenge on the table. He's throwing his challenge on the table of, man, I really want to do this thing and I can't figure out my name and the words, and does this resonate, and all of a sudden, Men on Purpose podcast. Yeah, I wonder if he'd like to buy that. So I go up to him and act immediately. Like when a quantum thing happens, you take action immediately. I go up to him and I say, hey, what do you think about, would you have any kind of interest in buying the Men on Purpose podcast? And he was like, oh my God, this is the answer to my prayers, right? So in the quantum financial system, your requirement for X is actually solved through the prayer of somebody else's Y. And it just pops out like popcorn popping in a popcorn pan. It's not linear. It just pops out of the blue. So that's my take on the quantum financial system. And so we've been practicing with small things. So if you're in a place where you haven't been practicing yet with small things, go manifest yourself a parking spot, right? Or ask for pennies from heaven and keep your eyes peeled because they show up on the ground. They instantly manifest out of the quantum field, and that's what creators do. We literally take nothing and turn it into something. And we can do the same thing with our financial flow. And so comes more of a just-in-time type of process. And so we also must shed, in addition to unzipping ourselves from the existing money matrix, we also must shed and peel off the cocoon of worry that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Generally speaking, it's mother worry, but a lot of times it can come through the father. And literally, worry to me is it's one of the 5 ways that we ward off wealth. Worry is number 1. When I see worry with my seeing eyes, it literally looks like a wasp's nest or mummy wrappings or an old, musty, smelly army blanket that's wrapped either around the person or around whatever the object of their worry is. So if you're worried about money, then you are literally wrapping money in this musty web or cocoon, and it can't get to you because it's stuck in there. So worry is one of the things that we want to actually take our talons, our claws, our kitty claws or our eagle talons, and just like right through worry and shred that shit from out of our fields, out of our psyches, out of our emotional bodies, because worry doesn't do shit for anybody. Now, there's a difference between preparing in response to guidance and being in this, oh my God, what's going to happen, worry zone.
Yeah.
Okay. Two totally different things.
They're totally different things.
The last thing I want to say is on this shedding process, I have started to acclimate with and align to dolphin medicine. Dolphin literally sheds their side. And this could be real, could be fake news. Who the fuck knows? I don't care. I'm aligning with this thought form. Hold
on, I'm with you. This is the power of creating our own reality. This is taking full responsibility for it. I create my reality anyway. So, like, I'm going to just grab this one.
So I'm aligning
okay, I'm with you.
Thought form that a dolphin literally sheds its skin every 2 hours. And this is why it can always be in joy. Dolphins are always in joy because they're literally everything, there's no attachment. There can be no attachment because they're in a constant state of releasing everything that doesn't serve every 2 hours.
Right.
Every 2 hours. Every 2 hours. And now we can just jump for joy and do our dolphin dance and breathe and create playfulness and pods and podcasts and all the other fun things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the things that I had out of your last little piece there.
I love it. I love it.
Dolphin medicine.
Dolphin medicine. Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of the teaching, the burnout sustainability card teaching in my deck, which is about how it's not about like having it be proportionate, like what comes in is what comes out. It's about a state of being that allows for things to come in and to come out. So it's not actually tracking what's coming in and what's coming out. It's about being a clear conduit, and that's where we can sustain flow, and that sustained flow is generative. That's like that is the nature of life. When life is flowing, life makes life. That's the place. Yeah. That's the place about it.
Okay. I have another piece around that.
Yeah.
The tracking piece.
Yeah.
And so you met Jackie Cat. You remember Jackie Cat?
Jackie Cat.
Jackie Cat had to be released. Jackie Cat had to be released into the river of life the night before I left for the New Media Summit at the beginning of March. However, the week before, I had done cacao ceremony for the first time. And in cacao ceremony, I was inside a temple, and I was shown an altar with a big python serpent on the altar. So I was like, okay, shedding is about to happen. And then I was shown this beautiful jaguar that came and laid at my feet. And there were roses everywhere in the temple. And then the jaguar left the temple. And what emerged was the blue butterfly. But the message that I received as the jaguar left the temple is the time for tracking and accounting is now past. The time for tracking and accounting is now past. And the time for appreciation has arrived. And so how I'm holding that message is multifold. First of all, when I work with Jaguar medicine, and I've spent a lot of years working with Jaguar medicine, I have been highly attuned to paying attention to what's going on, like hypervigilant, right?
Right.
And tracking, like where's the energy? Tracking the energy. And at a practical level, that includes like making sure all the numbers are adding up and the accounting is being done and the credit score is the right number and, all of that stuff. So the accounting and the tracking, as soon as the Jaguar left the temple and gave me that message that the accounting and tracking is over, I was like, oh my God, thank fucking God. The fucking accounting and tracking is over. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, such a fucking relief. And then the blue butterfly coming in and appreciating beauty. I also am holding appreciation in kind of the old money system, but as a bridge, like your assets appreciate. They become more valuable. So in holding this idea of I am becoming more valuable, what I create is becoming more valuable. The world itself is becoming a more valuable world. We are being invited now to reconnect with what we actually really value. Everybody got sent home.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you out working 80 hours a week for?
Right.
Right? Everybody's getting sent home to reassess what it is that they actually value. And emerging out of this is the opportunity for those who are wakening up or are awake or are being germinated right now to really create a life and a whole systemic emergence. Because I think there will always be systems, but there will be more elegant systems that will emerge, that will be more in alignment with what we value. So the second flow code was because the world needs more beauty. I value beauty. It's part of a wealthy life is beauty, is incorporated into that. Yeah, so that's what I have there on accounting and appreciating. And so now the exercising for me is, what the practice for me is, can I appreciate you today? I want to appreciate your beauty. I want to appreciate your value. I want to appreciate your courage. I want to appreciate your tenacity. I want to appreciate all the initiations that you've gone through. I want to appreciate that you have made this place for high medicine conversations to be happening. I want to appreciate all the people who are listening. I want to appreciate the beauty and the tenderness and the intentionality and the impeccability with which you hold space and with which you create. I want to appreciate your willingness to say that prayer that you were going to be at the birthplace. I want to appreciate coronavirus for giving us as a collective this collective initiation. I want to appreciate the pine trees. I want to appreciate the father sun and mother sun, if you want to call it mother sun, it doesn't matter. The sunshine, which is germinating and activating and downloading codes of information and evolutionary impulses in all of us. And I want to appreciate this amazing, magnificent earth that continues to be such a massive receiver and generator out of which this entire matrix that we are evolving into and through is being, it's the stage upon all of that happening. And I want to appreciate myself for fucking showing up and doing the work, and many times wanting to just say, oh, what the fuck am I doing here? Can I just get off this place? How many times have I had those thoughts go through my mind? How many times have those been my thoughts? How many times have those been the thoughts of the collective that I've been processing? Let me appreciate myself for being a fucking wildfire for 13 years processing collective shit, right? Let me appreciate the technology angels for giving us this amazing technology to be able to do what we're doing. Yeah. And, I mean, we can just go for forever in appreciation. And yeah, so ditto.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate your radiance, your fortitude, I appreciate, one of the first words that I used when I put that post up was powerhouse. I appreciate your honesty, your vulnerability, your tenacity of self. You are so deeply humble. I appreciate your willingness to just learn, to lay your ego aside, to open your heart, your body, your soul, your perspectives to see more. And I appreciate the way that you love when you do that. You really do. You love the animal beings, you love the plant beings, you love the stone people, you love the trees, you love the water, like you love the lover. I appreciate the lover, the darling innocent lover, and the fierce creatrix lover. I appreciate you. Oh, wow.
Tingles all over.
Yay.
Tingles all over are really a good sign.
It's really a good sign. And I want to say, like, it's like you said, I appreciate the listeners, and I appreciate that, like you listening, like you have been doing so much of this work collectively. Like you are, like, this episode is for those, it's like, this is not a casual medicine conversation, and so, like, you're with us, and I just want to appreciate all the work that you have done for your family, for your lineage, for your people, for the lands that you've lived on, the ways in which you've processed for the collective without even knowing that that's what you were doing, the ways that you carried that burden like it was your own for years, sometimes decades, before you learned that that wasn't yours. I want to appreciate the strength. I feel the ox medicine come in this I want to appreciate the ox medicine that so many of us have cultivated and stepped into, and the lover, the caring, the lover, the heart, radiant heart.
I have to throw the bees in.
Oh, please.
I want to appreciate the bee people and those of us who have been cross-pollinating and doing, like everything in the insect world that we denigrate and we pest aside, right? I just want to be so appreciative of all of the creepy crawlies, and most especially the bee people who have both people in bodies who act as if, cross-pollinating without, just joyfully going from flower to flower. Hi, Sophia. Let me sprinkle some pollen over here. Hi, Josie, or whoever you are. Let me sprinkle some pollen. That whole, like, complete randomness, that what appears to be randomness and yet is so quantum.
Right.
That then creates the honey and the sweetness and the thriving of the hive of those of us who are medicine callers. So, for those of you who are bee people or butterfly people who, the linear world has been punitive to you. Please let me appreciate your continued being of who you are, and your continued persistence in your absolute knowingness of the elegant design of your bee dance or your butterfly dance or your hummingbird dance, whatever that dance is, that looks completely random, and yet if it was followed and if it was really seen in its true essence, would be this magnificent flower of life. It would be the flower of life. It is sacred geometry that you are following through the following of your own calling, and through the following of, and the resistance to being boxed in and linearized. So thank you. I appreciate you all. Yeah.
Yes.
You're the food creators. Hello. You're the
nourishment
creators. The nourishment creators. Yeah. Thank you.
Cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Emerald.
Here's to cross-pollination.
And
distilled water. In glass jars.
We do love our distilled water in our glass jars. Yeah. Oh. Wow.
Wow is right. I feel like post-orgasmic right now. I truly do. I feel so good. My
Yeah.
pussy is pulsing. My boobies are
Yay.
glowing.
Yay.
Yeah, my heart is pounding. And yeah, I feel really good. I
Mm.
feel really good. And 2 days ago, I was like, what the fuck am I here for? This is so sad and depressing, and I'm exhausted and weary. And can I just fucking hide under my covers for the next 27 years until
Mm-hmm.
somebody comes out and says, it's okay?
Uh-huh.
So that was 2 days ago. Today I'm flowing with the flows. Yeah.
It's so excellent. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank
let
you.
yourself gush. Let yourself
Yeah,
gush.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
Yeah.
it was like that. It's like the invitation here is like you just watched Emerald do it. You watched me kind of like join in and ride out, on the tails of it and come back around. Like, give yourself permission to go to just like list and get excited and inspired. And I appreciate like let yourself do that for 4 minutes. You will feel different when you're done. So that's your home play if you're up for it. It's your assignment. That it's quantum appreciative. What I have a friend who says, Leah, actually, I don't know who she got it from, but Leah Moon says what you appreciate appreciates.
Hmm.
And so it's like
Yeah.
again that piece. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Medicine. Um, I want to say, what do I want to say? Thank you.
That's a good one.
That's good. Um, I want to say, do.
I have something.
Okay.
I have something. I have a friend slash client slash colleague slash I was her client slash everything who her name is Lisa Czerny. She might be fun for you to have on the show. She
Fun.
has come up with this thing called confessions. She's got 12 confessions, and one of her confessions, I can't remember which number it is, but don't worry about being proper or polite.
Mm.
Like just let go of need, feeling like there's some need to be proper or polite. That's one thing that you taught me, Sophia. Like the whole burping thing, I was just like, what is going on when I first met you? But we had so much resonance. I was like, yeah, well, whatever. That's just Sophia. And now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to burp too, because here it is and it wants to be expressed. And I think in the creative age, as we are initiating it, as we are the vanguard for the creative age, permission to express is more powerful than being proper or polite. And so yeah, I feel like I just needed to drop that in, and that's from my client, friend, colleague. I was her client, all the things, Lisa Czerny. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody asked me recently, they said, how do you do it? I said, it's really relaxation. It's about allowing it's about allowing resonance to take place. It's like I don't force it. It's not that. And so I say that because like what you're talking about is like it's it's about trusting my body. It's about just kind of like letting it be what it is. There's this other piece that I feel like I just want to name, which is that polite and proper had came from I think, and it's like came from an idea of like repression as respect.
Correct. Yeah.
And the ability to control oneself was the mark of self-mastery.
Yeah, not anymore.
No.
Not
No.
anymore.
Turns
Not
out,
anymore.
no. That self-awareness and self-mastery, so that I'm choosing whether or not to touch my face, or I'm choosing whether or not to belch from a place of embodied consciousness. What's alignment for me? What is that, like, where is that match? Trusting in that way. That's different than right or wrong. It's like there are times where it's like, don't touch my face. And there are times where it's like, this is my face. I am the person who gets to touch my face, actually. Like, I'm allowed to touch my face. And there are ways that I get to do that through consciousness that is participatory in the well-being of myself, loving myself and my protective, fields, and loving the collective or the community or the place that I'm in. It's like they're just completely different. Thank you.
Oh, man. That was a good one.
And the pleasure that comes from like that good, like that flow, that's just like, it's more powerful than it, like, it's one of those things that I can't tell you how many people comment. Like, for the first half of my life, it was my crying that I could like weep the way that I wept was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to belch about it right now, I think, actually, that like, maybe it's passing, that was like, people were like, you are just like, wow, you just cry.
Yeah.
And, but now I get more comments about how life-changing my belching has been.
Well, for me, it's both. I mean, you definitely are a model of the crying, and the belching was the more like, oh, that's interesting. And I think that the whole thing you were saying about the repression, one thing that I want to just append to that is, it was the sign of self-mastery, but it was also the means for self-immolation and the creation of disease, and of all of that repressed, unexpressed energy becomes stagnant in the body and creates things like, it creates the environment for things like cancer and viruses to take hold and all the things. Like, one thing I know about my body, this body that I've created, is inhospitable to this virus. It is just, the virus comes near my body and it's like, oh, got to get away from her, because it's like skunk medicine. You know what I mean? My body is inhospitable to this virus. I am very aware of that because it's exponentially more alkaline than most bodies on the planet right now because of the work that I've been doing. So,
one of the things that you just kind of said, it's like self-mastery is where people, but it was also, that repression is really about who has the authority, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's actually like self-subservience. Right? It's like the ability to control oneself to participate. And so I wouldn't say that my crying is its own thing and my belching is its own thing, but I never would have expected to hear so many people say to me that it impacted them in a way I wouldn't have, I was like, I used to people like, how do you do that? And I was like, you have a digestive issue for 8 years that hurts. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but what I've noticed is that many people that I've spent time with now are having what you're talking about, a deeper experience of just this one habit of feeling an ease, a spaciousness, a pleasure, an ability, a digestive space, like support, and a deeper communication. It's like, if you're belching all the time, that's a sign, like, a lot of the time that your body's asking for something's out of balance, or sometimes it's an emotional kind of, it's not that they're separate, like body, emotional movement, release, things like that. So I don't know. Those are some add-on tap. I don't know if that's necessary.
And let's just be clear. It's not like we're having a belching contest, because that's a different thing altogether.
That's a different game. That's different.
We can play that game, but this is like authentic, like movement of air and energy through the body that just emerges in the way that it emerges. And I think for me, what happened for me when I saw that, when you role modeled that freedom in your own body, and when you role modeled that clarity of permission to express that you have given to yourself, I attuned right away. I just attuned. I was like, yes. And so I think, to kind of tie the bow on all of this, as we navigate through dismantling all of these old structures that have now come to their end, are now in their dissolution, are now in their discreation, are now in their disintegration, as we navigate through this birth canal and come out on the other side, the permission to be who we are in all of our nature is what we are in the creation of, and the sovereignty of knowing what is of highest expression of our own bodies and minds and spirits and emotions is what is emerging. And there will be vanguards, there will be role models who will, just by their mere presence, just like your mere presence has come into resonance with my field and offered the invitation to attune to a higher level of self-awareness and a higher level of self-love and a higher level of self-expression that would not have been possible if our fields had not intersected in some way. And so for those of you who are intersecting your fields with ours right now, this is a role model in front of you. I appreciate you so much for being a tuning fork to whom I could attune in this particular way. Just as one example, thank you for being a tuning fork and being the living embodiment of the permission. Yeah, which then invited my body into a state of permission, and my mind and my spirit and my psyche. Yeah. Here we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Emerald. Good round. You ready for our closing questions?
Yes, I am.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I am. You are. You're born ready for these questions. My question is, my second to last question is, how do you like people to find you? What do you want people to know?
Well, let's send them to some fun places. Where?
No, I just got excited. I just remembered it's not in your bio, but I just had this moment of remembering it, just being like, and you have you're a best-selling author. You have a book.
Yes.
You have a book.
Well, that just happened. How do you get a #1 bestseller, new release in business consulting? Launch your book during the beginning of a pandemic. This is how it works. There is no linear strategy.
There's no linear strategy.
Yeah. When you're, guided. Yes. So,
Lord.
So I think where I want to send people is to, they can just go to the Wealthy Life Mentor, and at the top of that website, they can access the podcast, Wickedly Smart Women. They can access my art gallery, Art for the Awakened Heart. There's a link for that. They can also take the Wealth Readiness quiz if they would like. But everything is right there across the top of that page. And at this moment, who knows? Everything's in creation. It could be down the side of the page next week. Who knows? It could be at the bottom of the page a week from now, right? But right now, it's all at the top of the page. And so, Wickedly Smart Women podcast, Art for the Awakened Heart, where you can find more information about the flow codes. And just, for those of you who are not in a place where you have the quantum financial system popping money into your hand in the present moment and are, not in a buying state at the moment, you can still look at the flow codes and receive. So, they were asked to be both available for sale to the original owners, stewards, available to sale for a variety of people at a variety of different price points, and also just look at them if that's what needs to happen. And then for those of you who want to take the quiz, the Wealth Readiness quiz will give you some information about the 5 ways that we ward off wealth and how to welcome wealth instead. And that's a whole little funnely thing. So that's there right now, but who knows? It could be gone tomorrow.
Who knows?
Because we're in creation.
Because we're in creation. That is what's happening. Okay. All right, 108. Okay. So final question. And we've been talking about this the whole time, but this is the invitation for you to drop in and share with us this is hilarious. Literally, as I said that, you know how, so maybe you don't, but Apple's, like the iCloud land, they really are into reminding you of things now. So from a year ago, when I saw my own cervix for the first time, my computer just set, literally, as I said this to you, I said 108, and then I said, okay, you're going to drop into your visionary self. And then literally this reminder that was like a memory from a year ago. And it was a picture of me on the floor getting ready to look at my own cervix. So that is I'm bringing my menstruating cervix to this moment.
Well, that is where the baby crown's out of, honey, right through that cervix. So I am not at all surprised.
There we go. Beautiful. So there's my introduction. So we are journeying through a reality into another reality, this new paradigm, this new earth. Emerald, we've arrived there. We've come through. We're here. Like, you did it. Listener, you did it. I did it. We're here in our many ways, in our many forms, in bodies, in ancestors, with children. We're here. It's another realm. It's another existence, and it's now. What do you see, Emerald? What do you know? What do you hear? What do you have to tell us?
I see very clear blue skies and sunlight, and I hear the sounds of creatures who are unusual from the old, very colorful, lots of color, so much color, lots of colorful, emergent creatures. And I see beings who have wings. I see winged ones. I see a lot of winged ones. I see winged ones who are flying everywhere. And there's just a sense of wonder. What I feel is wonder and appreciation and joyousness and clarity, and it's just beautiful. That's what I see. It's beautiful. And I feel in my being such a sense of being at home and being with others who are my kin. I'm with kin. That's what I see.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being kin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for singing and welcoming and being kin many times over. Grateful for it. Emerald, thank you so much for joining us today and weaving with us. I'll say a couple parting words. I just want to let people know here on the Facebook Live that I will be offering 2 courses, one root healing, pelvic floor group, kind of a retreat. We're going to take a couple days to just kind of go deep and do healing. This is a great space if you have you want to heal some stuff at the base, really work that divine feminine and bring in a bunch of balance, find that union place. And then I'm going to be doing a how to manifest course. So we're going to walk through some of our resistances, get clear on our vision, and then use some practices together and each other to kind of work this quantum field and bring ourselves through. And those are sliding scale classes right now. They are invitation. They are reaching for the medicine, looking for the right people. So best way to kind of get in the know about that is through my email list. And the other way to do that is just send me a message anywhere you're listening to this. Just send me a message and I'll send you more information. For those of you listening on the podcast, when this comes out, I want to say I'm in a time of deep listening and putting together courses for what people are wanting, the medicine. So those are coming up quick. They're revealing themselves and then kind of getting full and happening. So if you want to know what is coming up for you right now as a possibility to come into healing space, please join my email list or send me a DM. Let me know that you want to be in the know about that stuff. I'm just listening as best I can and looking to feed and grow and heal together in this time and in this way. So I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for Emerald. I appreciate your magic and your majesty. I appreciate this planet, the spirits of the land, and just I appreciate my own heart and its courage to keep beating in this world. So I love you. I love you. I love you. Be well. Be in touch. All right. Peace.